Hey you guys, so we're looking over direct object pronouns and indirect object pronouns today. And so direct object pronouns and indirect object pronouns are actually pretty easy. When it starts to get a little bit more difficult is whenever we actually merge the two together. So we simplified it just a little bit and we have direct object pronouns, and then I've listed those for you. They are lo, la, los, and las. And then next to them I also defined the possible translations in English. Lo could replace a direct object that's singular and masculine. La would be singular and feminine. Los would be plural masculine. Las would be plural feminine. You also have the three possible direct object pronouns, which are me, te, and nos. And those three also function as direct object pronouns, but usually when you're using double object pronouns in a sentence, we're going to stick with the top four. Direct object pronouns, I would say, are the easiest of the pronouns to use because they become very obvious. So in case you've forgotten, remember that a direct object answers the questions who or what. Okay, so if you're not sure about that, or you had forgotten, temporarily forgotten, we'd like to say, you can write that down in your notes. Okay, then we have indirect object pronouns here. So we have the indirect object pronouns me, te, le, nos, and les. Remember, each one of the indirect objects has a clarifier. The simple purpose of a clarifier is to clarify. It is okay to have a sentence with a pronoun but no clarifier. It is never okay to have a sentence with a clarifier but no pronoun. If you have an indirect object in the sentence, one of these little words should appear in your sentence every single time. Will you have a clarifier? Not necessarily, but you should have one of these. Otherwise, your sentence does not make sense. And also, indirect object pronouns answer the questions to or for whom. They could also answer to or for what. Usually for Spanish, we focus on this to or for whom, however. And that kind of makes sense if you think about the to me, to you, to him. So, again, it is okay to have a sentence with an indirect object pronoun, but no clarifier. The simple purpose of a clarifier is to, guess what? Clarify. Okay, so we're going to be using double object pronouns in a sentence. Okay, so your word order should be IOP, DOP, verb, or verb, IOP, DOP. Okay, so always should be in this order. What happens in the instance that you only have one pronoun? If that's the case, then you just eliminate the one that you don't have. So if you don't have an indirect object pronoun, so this is gone, we would just say direct object pronoun, verb. Let's say you don't have a direct object here, then you would just say verb, indirect object pronoun. So let me give you a few more notes that I forgot to include right here, and we'll write these down together. These are notes over the placement of pronouns. Okay, so option number one, when placing a pronoun, option number one, you can place them before a conjugated verb. Okay, and I put that in caps, very important. Your verb must be conjugated before a conjugated verb. I guess I shouldn't do that, I should do this, okay? Option B, they can be attached to an infinitive. Does everybody remember what an infinitive is? An infinitive is an unconjugated verb. So you can attach your pronouns to an infinitive. Option C is they can be attached to a gerund or a participle. Okay, everybody remembers what a gerund or a participle is? Those are verbs that end in ing, which in Spanish the equivalent would be ando or yendo. Okay, so pick your spot. Every sentence must have a conjugated verb, otherwise you know it's not a sentence. Not every sentence will necessarily have an infinitive or a gerund or participle, but if that should be the case, then you have a decision to make about where you would like to place your pronouns. The other thing that you need to remember is that the two pronouns must stay together. You don't want to separate the two little guys because they're friends. So you need to commit. Are your pronouns going to be before the conjugated verb, or are you attaching them to a gerund or an infinitive? Once you've decided, you commit both of the little guys to the same location. Okay, the next thing, remember, you can't lay low, you have to say low. Okay, that's kind of silly, but it's a good memory cue for your rules. Okay, so in the following 4 sentences, I'm going to work the first 2 together with you, and then you will have to do the 3rd and 4th on your own to test your skills. So the first one says, El campesino está criando los animales. So if we were to translate the sentence, it translates into, the farmer is raising the animals. So ask yourself the question, what is the farmer raising? Answer. Okay, so you need to choose a direct object pronoun to replace los animales. Okay, so we would go with los. So let's rewrite our sentence. Option A. El campesino está criando, and I'm going to attach my pronoun los. El campesino está criándolos. See how I had an infinitive here? I attached my direct object to it. Ooh, no, that's not an infinitive, I lied. See how I had a gerund? I attached the pronoun. Option B, we could say, el campesino los está criando. And that works also. This was my conjugated verb here. So I place my pronoun before that. Next one. Ramiro va a darle un regalo a María. Okay, so you already have a clarifier here. You see your clarifier? There it is, a María. You have to have a pronoun that goes along with a María. And do you see it in the sentence? It's kind of hiding from you. Right, here it is. It's attached to dar, which is an infinitive. So part of the work has already been done for you. So let's rewrite the sentence. Ramiro is going to give a gift to Maria. What's he going to give? A gift. That's your direct object. So you need to replace it using a pronoun. Lo, la, los, or las. Which one would you use? Right, we would want to go with lo. Okay, so if we're going to rewrite the sentence, we could say option A. Ramiro va a, there's my infinitive, and let's attach the pronouns. There's my verb, so I need an IOP and a DOP. Le, lo. Remember what we said. We can't lay low, so we're going to have to say low. So we're going to say lo. Very good. Next one, option 2. Ramiro se lo va a dar. See how my 2 pronouns are before the conjugated verb there? Yeah. Okay. So remember, the structure of the sentence you're not actually changing as far as the conjugations are concerned. The only thing you're identifying is where your pronouns need to go. That's the only thing you're working with. So I've given you 2 more sentences here. I want you to do the same thing that we just did. I want you to give me 2 possible sentences or 2 options if possible. So that's to say that not both of the sentences can necessarily be written 2 different ways. So that's up to you to decide and to figure it out, okay? So I want you to copy these 2 sentences on a sheet of paper. I want you to give me your 2 options, and then when you come to class tomorrow, I'd like to see your work and then bring any questions that you may have had. Also remember, did you see how once we added dar se lo, it added an accent mark for us? Yes, because otherwise, if we didn't have an accent mark, it would be pronounced dárselo, and it's not dárselo, it's dárselo. So as we go on more and more into our grammar lessons, you need to start figuring out and deciding where your accent marks go. And I want you to start doing that, and I want you to start striving for accuracy when you start using your accent marks as well. Also, one other basic rule, if you're attaching pronouns, if you're attaching pronouns to a gerund, which are the words that end in ando or yendo, so your accent mark is going to be on the E of yendo and on the A of ando every time when you attach the pronouns. If it's just the gerund by itself, there are no accent marks. So if you say like taking them, it would be tomándolos. See, because you have too many syllables in that word. Okay, guys, so I hope this made sense to you. If it didn't make sense, when you come to class tomorrow, be sure to come prepared with your questions and let me know. Thank you. I'll see you tomorrow.